Happy fucking Monday, bitches. It is the third Monday of the month, and I have a special guest today. Welcome, Zoe, my nutrition coach. How are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually like, it's so funny because I don't really get nervous for these things anymore, but I was like driving here and I started getting nervous, and I'm like, why
Why?
am I nervous?
Why are you nervous?
I don't know. I think like, well, so you are like a big part of my life, but in a different way, like in this whole like fitness, and like you're obviously my coach. And so we have like these one-on-ones and stuff. But I think like having you in a space like this where people can kind of get to know you, get to know the program like a lot better. It's like, it's a very like near and dear place to my heart. And I just feel like honored that you would come on here and kind of like share your story and talk more about this industry and, the kind of the topic that we're talking about today. So I think that's why I was like, I'm getting butterflies.
I think too, it's like it's a vulnerable space too, right? Like I
Right.
know a part of your life that like other people may not know. But also that's kind of what coaching is too, right? It's not just here's like
Mm.
a meal plan, and I'm sure we'll get into this, but it's not a meal
Yeah.
plan, it's not just like a fitness program that you just follow and you're good. It's very much like I know Tatum, like
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
get
I guess
into
that's what it is. I'm like, you're like my fitness therapist. So I'm like, wow, like this can either go really good or like she's going to come down on me and I'm going to have to go back to the gym. I don't know.
Girl, stop talking. All the shit that people are thinking but not saying. I'm not even like drunk. I've just been like drinking. Are you still talking? Girl, stop talking.
Zoe, as I mentioned, she's a nutrition coach. She specifically works with women for fat loss in the health and wellness space, and she is a part of Team OPTMZE, which is, as most of the people watching know, a part of this bigger nutrition and fitness program that I'm in and have been in over the last year. And I kind of just wanted to pass the baton to you and ask, like, let's get a little background. Like, how did you get into this space? Like, and why did you choose specifically women's fitness?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to try not to make this like too long, but like the gist of it and why I'm like really, really so passionate about what I do. It's not more so of like, I'm so passionate about women, you know, being a smaller weight on the scale. It goes so much deeper than that. And the reason being is when I got out of college, I got a job. I got a job downtown in like a really, really nice building. I had my own office. Like I wasn't in a cubicle. I had my own office with a beautiful view, like my first like corporate job out of college kind of thing. And I thought I like had it, you know what I mean? But I was also at a place, started getting into the gym. I'm walking around the office and, people are miserable. People are miserable in their job. And it was like a finance kind of marketing job. I was drinking 8 cups of coffee a day, like no joke. The
Oh my
highlight of my
God.
day was walking to the freaking break room and grabbing a cup of coffee. I was just like, over time, realizing like this is as good as like it's gonna get for the next little bit. Like this is kind of it. And I just was not okay with that. And the more that I'm in the gym, I'm realizing like how much my mind is expanding, how much like, I'm feeling so much better and like life is amazing after these gym sessions. But then I go to work and I'm like, life
I
ain't that
hate it
good.
here.
Yeah. Like truly, truly. So that was kind of my dip into like I got to change things. Like life isn't supposed to be like this. So I really got into more of the gym. I actually quit that job and started my personal training certification, went into all of that. That led into nutrition, of course, like training people and clients. I did that for a while and I was like, yo, why is nobody getting results? And it's because you see someone for 2-3 times a week for an hour. That's all you're seeing them. Like then you go home, then you have your issues, your stressors, then you eat like crap. You're never going to see results like that. So that's how I finally went into nutrition, got certified and all of that stuff. And then just kind of that changed the game. Nutrition changed the game. And that's when I first started going online.
Okay, that's so interesting. I feel like I didn't even know all of that, you
Yeah,
know? You're
yeah.
like, and that's why I'm like so glad to have you on because you get to listen to my problems every week and boy, do you listen to them. But I'm like, okay, no, this is so cool. I'm so happy. Um, I can resonate with that so much because I've been feeling that way a lot recently. Like, I feel like there's kind of been this switch in, not knowing what I want to do, like in my personal, like career and that part of my life. And then having like all of these positives coming out of like this nutrition program and in the gym and just feeling more creative and like getting excited about, doing cardio. I mean, I don't know. It's like sounds so weird, like not the norm, but I think that's so awesome to hear you say that. It's like validating for me because I'm like, okay, there is like a different position. Like there is somewhere like else that my talents maybe are even needed, So
Mhm.
I love that you were able to kind of hone in on that experience and look at it from a different perspective. Did you said you started out like coaching people. Has it always been online or were you still doing that like in person or how did that all come to fruition?
Yeah, I was only in person for maybe a year before I started going online. And I actually, like, me, I'm very like, if I want something, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm very like
Yeah.
cut like that, and I'll just like find a way. So at that point, I'm a year in person training. My clients aren't getting the results because they're doing whatever at home kind of thing. I fully quit, just like I did in my corporate job. Fully quit without having really a plan. I just knew, okay, I want to take things online. I think this is the future of personal training. I think this is the future of
Yeah.
coaching. Like, I can work so much more with clients online and get to see like a full picture of their health alongside having nutrition involved. So fully quit that, built my own business. This is like, shoot, like 8 years ago, maybe 8 or 9 years
Oh
ago.
my God. Wow.
Yeah,
So you've been in this for a while. You've been doing
for a
it
minute.
for like 10 years or so plus.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, girl. What was your
That's
question? I forget.
I was saying like how did you come into the online coaching? But you pretty much answered it. Like you already we went down that road. So I guess the one thing that I really want to bring to the listeners for this episode is obviously not everybody can manage, budget, kind of putting these programs into their life. And this month we've been talking about goal setting and intentions and how to like follow through on commitments for ourselves. And so I guess my first question before we fully get into all of that would be from your perspective, what is like the most important thing that people could be doing at home to like help better themselves in their day to day?
When it comes to like health and fitness goals,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think like I'm big on routines, and I think routines are absolutely everything. But I think if someone was watching this right now and they're like, I got no idea where to start, like I cannot afford a coach, I just need to start somewhere and I need to, get this weight off and feel good about myself. I think the biggest thing is probably just monitoring your intake, monitoring and looking at what the heck you're putting into your body every day. So practically what that looks like is downloading MyFitnessPal, plugging in every single thing that you put into your body, your coffee creamers, like literally everything, just so you can get some data. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people might have this stigma around tracking macros or looking at calories and almost as this like negative thing, when really it's a way to look at the data. Like if we want to budget money, if we have a money budget goal, we need to know what our finances are. Like we need to know what our numbers are. We need that data. So it's the same thing with food, looking at the data and being able to see exactly what is going on. Because like big picture wise, if we zoom out, your calorie intake is it's gonna show a lot.
Right. It's going to determine like where you can start with some of those goals as far as like, in the fitness or losing weight or gaining muscle, stuff like that.
Totally. Yeah.
It's so interesting because I love that you said that because I've had so many people people are online, they're following my journey, they reach out to me, or like even friends close to me see like all the things, like changes I've made, things that I'm doing. And they'll ask me, like I want to start going to the gym, or I want to lose weight. And that's the first thing that I tell them also. I'm like, if you're asking for my advice, what you need to do right now is two things, and that's download my fitness pal and track everything for at least 2 weeks so that you can see the data. But I think a hard thing for most people, which kind of segues us right into our goal setting and all of that, is just holding those commitments to themselves, or maybe setting like higher expectations. So when it comes to like setting goals for yourself, how would we continue, or I guess start first of all to set them? Like, what does that look like? And what are some of the things that we can do or that we need to do to be able to continue to achieve the goals that we set for ourselves?
Yes. Okay. That's a really good question. I think a couple things with that. So when we think about, depending on how long the goal is, right? If we're thinking like 2025, we're goal setting for the year, that's a year-long goal that we, at the end of the year, we would have wanted to have accomplished that. So we can have big picture goals for sure. We can zoom out and think about that. But we also need to get nitty gritty with it, in the sense of, okay, are we doing like quarterly goals, breaking down what that big major goal is? Because I think the biggest thing is like people complicate a lot of shit. And when we complicate stuff, we make it like so overwhelming, and this is the biggest thing in my life, like everything is simplified, because that's how my brain works. That's how I, have this like delusional positivity. It makes sense in my brain. If things are complicated, I'm going to resist them and I'm not going to do them. So I have to simplify it. So I think that's the biggest thing with goal setting. It's like, how can we make our goal this big picture item that's really broken down into simple tasks every day? Kind of like what we do with like our non-negotiables, with clients and Team OPTMZE, right? So building out those goals, and then how can we make sure that we accomplish those goals? How do we stay on top of it? My biggest thing with clients is like, we need to see those goals every single day. Like we need them smacked in the face. We need a whiteboard that has our goals on there, broken down into daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, whatever we need to do. So again, it's like, it's hitting us in the face every day, because we live in a world that is so distracting. I mean, our cell phones, we have like 5 minutes in an elevator. Well, 5 minutes in an elevator is a long time, but 30 seconds in an elevator, like we're pulling up Instagram or we're looking at TikTok. Like we're constantly distracted by so many things that we can easily forget our goals and like see the shiny object and just be like, oh, what did I say I wanted to do on Monday? Like it doesn't matter anymore, because this thing now is so much more appealing and shiny. So having your goals smack down in the face, I think, is like number one every single day. That needs to be a priority.
Yeah, for sure. And like you mentioned in the program that, you work for, that I'm in, we kind of hold ourselves accountable that way by doing like the weekly check-ins. So it's like, not only do we have the coach, but once a week we have to fill out this form, and it kind of holds us accountable of like, what did we do this week? What did we accomplish? Like, what are we excited, or like, what did we accomplish? What do we need to do to continue to like have a good week moving forward? So I do like the idea of kind of like taking your bigger goal and like writing them down somewhere. The whiteboard idea is a great thing. I know that like people struggle, kind of like I said, they'll pick a goal and they'll be like, let's just use drinking for an example, because this is like one that, I think a lot of people can relate to. They're like, I don't want to drink for 30 days. I'm going to do dry January. So they set this goal, but then, side note, I talked about this in my last episode. Have you heard of Quitter's Day?
Dylan told me about it. She just told me about this the other day, like January 10th or something, right?
Yes. And I talked about it in my last episode. So apparently Quitter's Day is the 10th of January. And that's basically when like the newness of these exciting goals have worn off, and you are like continuing to live your same routine without making any changes. So about, the first, week and a half to 2 weeks, people usually fall off because they haven't restructured anything in their routine or in their life to kind of, help them grow with that goal and continue it. So I think the drinking one is huge, right? Because people set this big goal, I'm not going to drink for 30 days, and then that's it. And then they just go about their normal lives. So what are like using drinking as an example, like what are some things that people can do other than like writing it down that will help keep them away or like keep their mind busy from kind of like achieving that 30-day drinking goal? Like something that they can put into their routine to change it, but not feel overwhelmed by it.
Yes. Okay. I think the biggest thing with that, and this can play into any goal, is having some sort of replacement. So instead of just taking away drinking, that's removing something from our normal day life, that's going to feel really freaking hard. That's going to feel weird.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel sticky. You're going to have that temptation because, 8 p.m. rolls around, you had a big day at work, you're going to want to have something that puts you in a different state of mind. So just by replacing that with something else, you have that answer. You have that thing that you can grab when 8 p.m. does hit. I think that's a big thing that people, misunderstand when it comes to health goals as well and nutrition. It's like they have to take away all the food and pasta that they think they can't eat. Then they're going to crave it more and more and more. Same thing with alcohol. You say you can't have wine. Guess what? You're going to want wine so much. So having that replacement and making like a fun mocktail or, like a tart cherry juice situation to get some.
Yes, I still need to try that.
I feel like you got all the fun things with how much you've done like dry months, and you've gone a while with no drinking.
Yeah, and it's actually, I can attest that it is difficult, I think, for the first, not in the way where it's like, oh, I need it. Like, I'm not like shaking for alcohol, like, oh my God, I need to consume it.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a mental thing, right? So it's like, I mean, we say this all the time, like if you tell yourself you can't do something, you won't. And like, it's almost like a mindset shift. So like, your brain, and from my understanding and things that I've read, it's like looking for the easiest outcome, like because it doesn't want to have to work too hard. So it's like, this makes sense. I've done this. It's going to make me feel better. Boom, bang, done. Like, and sometimes change, like you almost have to like change those neural pathways, which I think we've talked about more recently in some of our team meetings and stuff. But so for me, like the drinking thoughts, when I first stopped, I've done a couple dry months actually. Oh my God. Sorry, my brain. I've had so much caffeine. I'm like, I just had another thought. I was thinking this year or last year, 2024 has been it was like the less amount of alcohol that I've drank probably since I started drinking alcohol. I did 2.5 dry months in 2024.
Yeah. Amazing.
That's crazy. I know.
Yeah.
So anyways, to complete my thought, I just thought that was like a really cool thing. I was like, oh my God, look at me go. But it was difficult within the first 2 weeks, like, or that first weekend, especially because it's like, oh, we're just relaxing, have a drink, or you're cooking dinner. Maybe you go out all the time, or your friends, like you're meeting up with your friends. And so those thoughts would like fleet into my head. But just for a minute, like, it's like, oh, have a drink. And then my brain's like, it's Friday, you can have a drink. And then I'm like, okay, but I'm not drinking. So then what I started doing was I got a bunch of like seltzer waters, like flavored seltzer waters. And I would essentially make myself like a mocktail, but I would do it up. Like I wouldn't just pop the can open and start chugging it. I would get a wine glass, put ice in it, like maybe do some like fresh fruit or a little extra juice, and then get like I have these like tin straws, or they're like aluminum straws, and like drink it through a straw. And as soon as I made that and started like having the bubbles, it was like I was satiated. Like my brain, the thought had like left. And then I'm like, okay, I didn't really need that. Like it was just like a route that my brain was trying to like, finish like a race or something,
Totally. I think what you just said is amazing. You made it fancy. What you did is you romanticized it. If we can start romanticizing like the really mundane, like tough shit in our life, like we're going to be so good. So good. It's just about making it as like fun and easy and simple, like I was saying, as possible with absolutely anything that you do. So as much as, getting ready for bed, like romanticize that shit. Like like
Mm-hmm.
put some eye things under your eyes, like get some cute slippers, whatever you
Light a
need to do.
candle.
Light a candle, like romanticize everything. I think that's like the biggest life hack that there is.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that you kind of put it in a context of like you're doing this for you so that you feel better. Like, because that's what you think, using drinking as an example. Like, you think you're having the drink so that you can feel better from
Mm,
your hard day at work or your stressful life or whatever. But in
yeah.
reality, it's not like contributing positively to your life. And maybe that for some people is, like doom scrolling for an hour, 2 hours on TikTok or, on social media. But I think at the end of the day, like, I mean, I'm sure you have, but have you ever like been on your phone so much where like you feel like you can't stop and
Oh
then
yeah.
you do stop and then for like 5 minutes goes by and you find yourself picking it back up again? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
I hate that. I mean, there's moments that I've had where I'm like disgusted, like almost with my behavior, but it's like, it's almost like you can't stop.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of like thinking about the things that you're trying to better yourself as like, really taking that time and that care of being like, okay, like I'm going to do which I time myself by the way, 15-minute nighttime routine. 15 fucking minutes. Are you kidding me? I
Okay.
feel like that's so long.
No, when you wrote that in your check-in, I was like, I don't think I even talked about it in your check-in response, but I was thinking in my head, like, that's nothing. Like, 15
Oh
minutes
my,
is nothing.
I just like think of all
That's
these
easy.
steps and like to me I'm like this is so annoying. I like literally have to brush, I have to floss, I have to do my 4 skincare step routine. Now I have the frownies and then I have to put my trays in, but I have to clean those first. And it's just like all of these things, but like I wake up, like when I'm done with that, I'm like, wow, I did it all. Like my teeth actually fit into my teeth trays right now. Like they look straighter. Like
15 minutes is crazy. Like, that's nothing.
Oh, I know. Well, it's not that, but again, that's not that bad. And I was actually, this is another great point that I think we can talk about. I was talking to one of my girlfriends the other day because she struggles with doing like simple tasks and like very simple, like just putting the laundry away. And I think for me, that was like, honestly, I could just contribute it to laziness at this point where I'm at in my journey, but like I'm not trying to like shame anyone because we all have our different struggles and what we feel like is hard and whatever. But some of these tasks that I've thought were going to take forever, like my skincare routine, I started timing myself because I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, it takes me 15 minutes. If I can sit on my phone for 15 minutes, I can do my skincare routine and get ready for bed. And I try to like twist that into a positive, even with hard things like when I started running, 2 miles, it would take me like about 15 minutes to run around the block. And I'm like, okay, Tatum, you're sitting here being lazy, procrastinating, going on a run, but you just sat on your phone for an hour and a half. Like, put your fucking phone down.
Yeah. Yeah. There was this really cool thing that I saw when I was younger, and I thought at the time I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I'm like, this is so nitpicky, but it was this woman explaining that whenever like she was so efficient with her time and so productive, like crazy productive. I think she was like a budgeting expert. But anyway, she would do a microwave minute, and she would try to get like clean her kitchen as much as she possibly could. She would do as much as she could in that microwave minute to save at like the littlest time here and there. Thought it was crazy. And then I started doing it a couple years ago. I'm like, maybe there's something to this. I'm like, this is amazing. Like just having a
Yeah.
time like block on something. I always talk about the dishwasher. Like same thing what you said with laundry. Like I hate folding my laundry after it sits in my dryer for like a week, and I'll literally go in there, grab a pair of underwear, go on with my day and just leave that shit in there.
I'm dead.
I hate it. And then the dishwasher, I'm like, let me just time how long it takes me to unload the dishwasher because I hate
Right.
it. 3 minutes, like Zoe, like you can do that. You have 3 minutes,
Yeah.
like you said. So I think that's huge. Like anything that you really have resistance to, put a timer on it and see like how much you know, if you want to be super productive, see how productive you can be, but also just see how long it actually takes you. Reevaluate in your time, in your timeline, in your day. You probably have the time, girlfriend. Like so many of us think we don't have time to do things. If you are not time blocking, if you have not time blocked your day, I promise you, you can find time to do the things that you think you can't, or you can habit stack so you can make time.
Yeah, I think you're so right. And I know for myself, I've been really analyzing my life a lot and like trying to be very self-aware of like the things that I'm doing and like why I think the way that I do and how I'm like showing up in the world. And one of the things that I've like noticed about myself is I hold myself to like very high achievements. I'm like, I know what I can do, I know what I'm capable of. And so I often don't find myself saying like I'm not really insecure. I'm a pretty confident person. So for me, it's not I'm not enough. It's I'm not doing enough.
Mm.
And I feel like that's resonated with me a lot over the last couple of weeks because of like maybe it's hyper independence, you know? And I feel like I'm not doing enough. So sometimes the calendar blocking works very well, but other times I feel like I have all of it's like overwhelming.
Mhm.
So like how do we create some of these goals or like create these routines to get all of these things done without feeling like this, weight over our shoulders and then that leading into procrastinating and pretending like those things aren't happening? Do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, yeah. And this is a big one with a lot of people. It's the overwhelm, right? So if things are
Yeah.
overwhelming, you're going to have resistance. We're not going to do it. We think it's not going to work. We just give up and we quote unquote fail. So with that, I love creating things very realistically. So when we are time blocking, we're not going like 20 minutes. This is what I'm doing the next 20 minutes. Like we're not filling in all the gaps and trying to say that we have to be doing something at every waking moment. Instead, it's thinking, and this can be trial and error because you're going to figure out what works with you and what doesn't, because everyone's going to be different. But having a top priority list. So I love like 1 to 3 things. Start with there. If you can accomplish those
Oh,
3
yeah.
things you really want to get done, you cross those things off at the end of the day. And that is like, okay, sweet. I moved the needle forward because I crossed those things off. I'm really proud of myself because I crossed those things off. And you do that for like a week straight, like then you can add some things to your list. You have the evidence, you have the data to back it up that you can crush, 1 to 3 things. You do the things that you say you're going to do, then you can add. If we just start our list with like 10 things on it, we're probably going to fail. And then we're going to be like
Right. Or
overwhelmed.
you do some and then you don't get to the rest and then you kind of have that same kind of concept of like, oh, like I'm not capable or I'm
Right.
not able to get these things done, right?
Yeah. And then with you, it might be like, okay, you feel like you're not doing enough. So maybe you stack your day, and some days you're absolutely killing it. And then some days you're just like, this is way too much. That's going to be where you just kind of reevaluate. Like, how do I feel when I wake up in the morning? That's when you're writing your list for the day. If you feel like you can absolutely kill it, you might write a lot
Yeah.
more things on that list. But if it's not like a high energy, high vibe day, you might want to take it a little bit easy. And that's like the beautiful part about like life is it's a balance. It's like a dance. It's not always going to be the same every single day.
Right. And what I hear you saying too is focusing on what you can do in the current moment rather than what needs to get done at like the end of the rope. And I think that's obviously something that I've struggled with personally. It's like it's kind of like the anxiety, like overthinking mind, like, oh, all of these things need to get done. I have to do them all. And what I've slowly started to do and retrain myself is to be like, okay, what can I do today? Like, we're in the now. Like, if I can accomplish these things for the day, we're going to call it good. And then move on to the next day and be like, these are the next 3 things, which we've actually done. I can attest this actually works. Speaking from experience. That's so funny. I know. I was telling one of my girlfriends, I'm like, this is going to be so great. I'm going to have her on and I'm just going to ask her all the things that I need so that I can get.
Yeah, this isn't even going on YouTube. This is just a coaching.
Yeah, it's like an extra bonus hour-long coaching call. No, I think all of these are really good tips, and like I hope that people can, listen to this episode and kind of take what they need to from it and like apply it in their own lives. Um, like I said, speaking from experience, we've all done these things. I've done these things. And I think just with this new year, every new year, everyone has this mindset of like, it's a new year. I'm going to be this complete different person. And what I've heard from a handful of my friends, which I hate to see because I feel like I'm living in this fucking high, girl. Like where I am at in my life right now, it is changing and it has changed. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I feel amazing. And I know that my friends see that. And I hate to see that they're still, some of them, not all of them, I'm not trying to call anyone out, but that they're struggling or that they feel stuck. And, and it feels like the light at the end of the tunnel is so far away. And one thing that I always say too, to like a couple of my girlfriends, I'm like, you are going to be the one to change it. Like you have to make the change, But by doing some of these little steps, like it's a day by day process to get you to that end goal. And like for me specifically, it's been a year. Like it's been a year of day to day. It was a broken fucking collarbone. It was like, trips and vacations and knowledge and all of these things to like get to this point where I'm like, I feel so truly locked in. And I want to be able to give that back in any way that I can. So
Totally.
that's where my head is at. Anyways, did you have something to say? You looked like you wanted to chime in a little bit.
No, I think you really you wrap that up really well. It is a dance and everyone's progress. I mean, we have so many girls on the team. No one's the exact same. No one's going to have the same success in the same time frame. Like no one's dealing with the same shit at home. Like we have things going on.
Yeah.
And it's about finding like what works for you. If having breaking your goals down like into the simplest tiny little thing and proving to yourself that you can do that, if that's what you need to do for the first couple weeks, even the first couple months, like you need to do that and you need to go slow with it. If you've found yourself, making these giant goals every year and then not accomplishing those goals, you're not a unicorn. Like you're not broken. Like you just need to reel things back a little bit and actually do things correctly. You like nobody is at a place, nobody that they cannot achieve something just because they have data to back up that they can't do it or that they haven't done it. They just need a different path.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so beautifully said. Well, we're not done yet. I didn't want it to feel like we were wrapping up the episode. I think another really key point to all of this is kind of like, okay, let's just like fantasize for a second. We've written out these goals. These are the things we want to accomplish. We know what we need to do to get them done and what we're going to do day to day. Let's say we made it past the 10 days of January. It's the 17th, girl. Congratulations. You are not a quitter. Okay. And even if you did, let's say you fall back, you didn't hold up to your commitments. I want to talk about that bounce back time frame because I know that is also so important and it's obviously with trial and error. So if we've fallen off and we kind of are feeling down and we're like, wow, I didn't hold these commitments to myself, there you have this negative mindset of maybe I can't do it. Oh, fuck it, whatever. I'll just keep living my life how I was doing before. How do we create like a better, shorter bounce back period where it's like, okay, maybe I have a new game plan or maybe I'm going to simplify them a little more. Like, how can we kind of get back into that bounce back to continue on with the commitments we want to hold to ourselves?
Yeah, I think that comes down to, at the end of the day, your expectation. So what you have, your expectations toward yourself, toward the goals that you have, right? So most people, they're going to fall off on the weekend. They're going to come back on Monday and be like, shit, I did it again, right? How come I can't stay on track? I do this every single weekend. So maybe instead of trying to follow a meal plan into the weekend when you know that you're going to be going out for drinks with the girls or you're going out to dinner or you're just running around doing errands and you know like you're going to have to stop to get some food, then you need to make that part of your plan, and you need to drop the expectation that you have toward yourself of following this meal plan that doesn't actually fit your life whatsoever. So if you're going week to week and you're finding that you're doing the same things over and over again and you're falling short over and over again, you just need to reevaluate. Like what's the barrier? Where's the place that I'm going wrong? How can I make sure that how to twist it so that I don't keep running into that? And that might mean breaking things down really simply. That might mean, dropping the expectation of trying to be perfect. That might mean trying to find a balance. And that's something that we are
the hardest thing.
Big on. What's up?
I was just saying, you're like the expectation that you're trying to be perfect. I'm like, okay, call me out.
For real. Like we can't be perfect in any situation. Like life's okay. Like we have to roll with the punches. And I think once we accept that shit is going to come, and, our day's going to not go maybe as exactly as we had planned, and we know how to pivot and detour, then we're good. But if we don't know how to do those things, then we're going to get hit with something that we weren't expecting, and then we've fallen off again and we failed. Like that's where the balance, I think, comes in, and that's why it's so massive.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I second everything you're saying. And I think like you said earlier in the episode, it seems like this huge thing or like a huge failure in the time, but like you said, you really like to simplify things for yourself. So it's almost like taking your mindset and just switching it. Like, I'm not a failure. This didn't work for me. I'm going to find something that can.
Yeah. Like think about the people that want to wake up at 6 a.m., but right now they're getting up at 8 a.m., right? And every morning they're hitting snooze. Instead of just, shooting for 2 hours before your wake up time, like just go smaller. If you can't do 6 and you're seeing that pattern happen over and over again, like maybe go 7:30, half an hour before you normally wake up. Like prove to yourself. I think that's one of the biggest things, proving to yourself. And that's how you build confidence in that you can do that. You can shoot for a new goal and you can hit it. And then you just go deeper and deeper. Then you go to 7, maybe the next week. Then you go to 6:30, right? So it's all about simplifying things into realistic actions.
Yeah. Yeah, which is like, I'm glad you reiterated it, because I think it's so hard for people. I think people, I mean, obviously we all make these like high expectations of ourselves. So I love that you just reiterated it to like waking up in the morning, because that is hard. Like waking up earlier than you wake up is so difficult.
Yeah. Your body gets used to things, just like it gets used to like eating times, right? Like your body will literally start secreting hormones, secreting enzymes when it knows you're about to eat breakfast. You know what I mean? So having a pattern and a routine is massive.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. This was so good. So much good information, and honestly, just like so positive. And I knew it was going to be so great. Before we go, I like to just do a little rapid fire game. And normally these are geared towards like sex and dating, but because this was like a fitness wellness episode, I will spare you.
I told Phil, I'm like, I'm going on a sex podcast.
He's like, what? It's like, can I listen? What's going on? No, so these are just rapid fire questions. Feel free to, you can expand or share as much or as little as you want. And the segment is, are you still talking? Yes, we are. Okay. What's something you wish more people knew about you?
I think I'm like really funny.
Do you think like because you are very forward in the industry that you're in and like upfront, that people don't necessarily see like the goofy, silly side of you?
Yeah, I think so. It's a funny, like, again, it's a funny dance of being on social media and like having to portray this certain, professionalism. When like aside from work, and I still am like talking to you like I'm a human, right? And I can joke and laugh and whatever, but I'm just like, I'm super, super chill and laid back, and I just like to have a good time.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I love that you're posting more on Instagram too and trying to portray some of that also. Like I
Yeah.
love it when I see your little story bubble come up. I'm like, oh my God, what is she up to? So keep on doing it, girl, because you're doing good. Okay. What is a must have in your refrigerator or in the
Ooh.
kitchen?
I would say honey. I'm like obsessed
Honey.
with honey. I put honey on like absolutely everything.
Okay. I love that. My honey garlic is bomb. I did not think I was gonna like it. I'm
Good,
gonna,
right? It's like candy.
yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Okay. What give a nutrition tip for women that something that they wouldn't normally expect or know, like off the bat or from social media.
Mm, I will say probably because this is one that comes up a lot in like girls wanting to join the program is a lot of women are not eating breakfast and they're not they're grabbing the coffee first thing in the morning. So I would say that is you. It's okay because you're part of the majority. But if you can eat, within that first hour of waking up and push that coffee a little bit later, you're going to have way more energy throughout the day and sustained energy throughout the day rather than grabbing a cup of coffee. So breakfast, eat it.
Okay. I love that. All right. Well, that is basically wrapping up our episode. Before we completely dip out of here, I would love for you to share where people can find you, where they can see more of you, any new things that you have going on that you want to, let us know about and where people can find you.
Sure. My Instagram is Zoe Titsoglakis. You're gonna have to put that one in the show notes.
Yeah, we will put it in the show notes for sure.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram there. Follow our team page at Team OPTMZE, the best coaching company ever. And yeah, that's pretty much what is happening right now. Yeah, stay tuned. I can't say.
Yeah, I know. You're like, there's probably new other things coming, but
Yeah.
it's, under wraps, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this was so great. Thank you so much, seriously, for just scheduling out the time to come on here and talk. I know you were a little nervous, but you did fabulous.
Thanks. That went by so quick. I'm like, we're done?
Yep, literally. Yep, we did it. Okay, girl. Okay, you guys, go subscribe. Go to the YouTube, follow Zoe, follow OPTMZE if you're interested in learning more about women's health, fitness, nutrition, online coaching. Are you guys accepting new clients right now?
Yeah, girl. Yeah, we are.
Okay, so you can always DM her if you have any questions. Check out the program. If you have questions, you can always DM me as well. I'd love to refer you. If you do hit them up, let them know I sent you, girl. Okay. Okay, and I'll see you guys next fucking Monday. Bye.
Bye.
Are you still talking? Girl, stop talking.